Well, how is everybody this morning, this afternoon? I mean, time to fly. Well, I want
We're
to
going
maximize our time, so I think we'll go ahead and get started, and folks can catch up as they come along. But I think I know a lot of you on this call. We are recording this, by the way. I just want to let everybody know, just so we have it for future reference. And at the end of the call, we will follow up with everyone with each other's contact information. So just your email and your phone number in case anybody needs a deeper dive or wants to follow up about something, just to help strengthen our network. But if you have any objection to that, of course, just let us know. We are, well, I am Jennifer Rubenstein. I'm the director of the Louisville Independent Business Alliance. And I'm also going to introduce my partner in crime, Rebecca Melanson. She is very instrumental in putting these together. So we try to trade off duties, but she's definitely the driving force here. So thank
oh,
you. Thank you.
we're
Thank you.
partners. It takes a village, right? So it takes
Take
several of us to make stuff happen.
knowledge.
I'm
It
Rebecca
does.
Melanson, and I'm on the Amoeba board, and I run the Local Business Institute here in Austin, Texas. But I was also executive director, and co-founder of the Austin Independent Business Alliance for 20 years.
Mhm. Well, we are glad everybody's here today. I'm going to go ahead and drop my information into the chat in case anybody needs to get a hold of me. Just a reminder that we're being recorded, and all that good stuff. So, um, Amoeba, I think most of you are familiar, but in case you aren't, just a quick summary. Amoeba stands for the American Independent Business Alliance, and we are all about building the strength between our networks so that we are not reinventing any wheels, and then also just having this national voice for buy local. And there's a lot more to it than that, but I'm keeping the summary quick because I think most of you guys are familiar. So for this local leaders roundtable series, we kind of rotate between three types of calls. We have the kind of nuts and bolts sessions. So those are pre-selected topics of kind of practical use that we deep dive into. We have a what's going on with Amoeba call. That's kind of updates and relevant info. And, it's also an opportunity for you to share your thoughts and ideas about what's going on with Amoeba. So to have a much more direct voice with the organization that you're part of. We do these the second Thursday of every month. And today is our third type of call, which is something we call the Hive. That's today's format. And the Hive is kind of this idea that, we're all from all across the country. We're going to come together and we're going to cross-pollinate with different ideas, bring them home to our own communities. So we're going to be busy little bees, as always. This call is kind of the most unstructured of them all. So it is much like, I kind of liken it to, having happy hour after the conference day is done, and connecting with your fellow leaders of local organizations. So with that in mind, to get started, we're gonna, what we'll do is we'll do a quick round of introductions. So I'd like for everyone to give their name and position, the organization they're with, and kind of where you are if it's not obvious from your name. And if you know it off the top of your head, maybe how many members you have and when you were established. That just helps us kind of get to know each other better, kind of what stage our IBA may or may not be in, that sort of thing. And wrap that up with a one-sentence summary of two things that you want to talk about today. And no worries, too. If you don't have anything in particular you want to talk about today, that's fine. You can just listen. But we want to hear about maybe a recent success and a current pain point that the other folks on this call may be able to help you with. So this is just this is not to go into a deep dive of everything about that, but just so we can kind of get an idea of what the topics are out there. And then once we've introduced everybody, we can kind of, maybe group into subjects, or who knows, maybe a breakout room. I don't know, but we will see. I'm going to drop this into the chat, these kind of instructions here too. So we may or may not have time to go very deeply be into everyone's, what they want to talk about. But again, that is why we're doing the follow up, contact information, all that good stuff, so that we can still continue this conversation even outside of this event today. So let's see. I'm looking at my agenda here to see if there's anything else I wanted to cover here. So yeah, well, I'll get started. So again, Jennifer Rubenstein in Louisville. I'm the executive director. We have about 850 members at this point. We have been around since technically 2005. We didn't get a 501c6 until 2008. And a little bit about what I want to talk about today. A recent success is our LIBA Member Summit, which we ran online and had tons of components, things I really loved about the event, and things I really hated about that event. So I can kind of get into the pluses and negatives there. And then my current pain point is, as usual, really staff capacity. Getting our priorities here in the middle of a pandemic when everything changes every week. So I imagine that's a pain point for a lot of folks. But so that's me. I'm going to call on Colin next to introduce himself. And then, Colin, when you're done, you can call on somebody else and we'll just kind of daisy chain that around.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm Colin Murray. I'm the executive director for Dane Buy Local in Madison, Wisconsin. So Dane is our county, so that's why we have that name there. So we've been around since 2004, and we have approximately 600 members here with Dane Buy Local. There's probably a couple things I forgot on your list of questions you wanted us to talk about there.
No, that's perfect. Now your pain point and your good thing.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I call it a pain point, but one of the things I definitely want to do this year for Dane Buy Local is to set up a networking, a virtual networking event like you have in Louisville with either Hopin or something of that nature. So that's definitely on my list of things to work on. So we've been very, very fortunate here to be running a couple of grant programs. They've been hugely successful. It looks like we're going to get a third round now from the federal government and the county government here. So that consumes a lot of time and a lot of effort, but it's definitely rewarding. So
Awesome.
Thank you, Colin. And Theo, thanks for reposting my chat because I didn't realize I was sending that just to you, but thanks. And we will also hear from the interns too. So Colin, is there anybody you want to call on next?
I'm sorry, forgot that part. Let's go to Theo.
It's so complicated. I did make it very remember all your points.
Thank you. Hey guys, so hi, I'm Theo Skiatis. I'm the ED of Cambridge Local First. Most of everyone here knows CLF. We're a 500 member organization based in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And we have been around since 2005. We're a C6 as well. And okay, recent success. We love our internship program with Amoeba and with the Sustainable Business Network of Massachusetts. So we actually have 5 interns on the call right now, which is very exciting. And these are shared interns between Amoeba, SBN, and CLF. So we're very happy to have just kicked off the internship. It'll be a 13-week internship with 15 interns, mostly who are Cambridge based, but also we have a few interns from all over the country. And so that's a success. I'd say a current pain point is definitely, just like you said, Jen, it's capacity. There's just so much that we want to do, and there is just not enough time in which to do it. So reprioritizing on a weekly basis. I mean, the interns bring tremendous capacity, but there's just so much to do, and not enough hours in the day. So that's our challenge. I'm going to pass it along to Shashwat, and also to our 2 interns who named Theodore Skiatis. So if you want to rename yourselves, that would be great.
Hi everyone, my name is Shashwat. I'm currently in Boston right now, and I'm an intern for CLF. So we have 15 interns, as Theo said, and I can talk about what I'm working on. So right now I'm working on strategies in which we can help other local organizations come up with sustainability. And when I talk about sustainability, I mean local farming, composting, and all these different avenues which we can help them promote themselves. So yes, that's what I'm working on. So thank you. I'm gonna call on Kathleen.
Hi all, I'm Kathleen Rourke. I am the membership director for Local First West Michigan. We have now around 500 members, and we've been in business since 2003. So same or similar format to what you guys have described as well, a C3 and a C6 on our end. Let's see, a few things that I would be curious to hear about from the group topic wise. Wondering if folks have any experience with creating local, like your membership wide shopping platforms or e-commerce platforms. So if people have experience with that, we've had a few interesting conversations with partners, but would love to know if others have practical experience there. And for us, I think success is we just wrapped up our renewal season. And as far as you guys are talking about with capacity and the current climate of, you know, everything going on in our economic stuff, that is just a success to have gotten through that season and to connect with our members. And a pain point for us, we have a few different programs underneath our organization. So we're kind of in the middle of this branding conversation of how do we talk to the community about our cohesive programming, the way that it is enmeshed together while keeping our branding separate within the programs. So if folks have interest or experience there, I'm also curious just to hear others' experience.
Kathleen, it's great that you brought up the online marketplace because that's our focus for the next local leaders.
Oh, awesome.
So
we'll
look that up. We'll have lots of news on it then.
And I'll pass it to Janine.
Hello.
Hi, Janine.
Hello, everyone. And I'm Janine Murray, the Executive Director of Go Local Sonoma County. I put my info in the chat because I haven't joined in on these very much. So be like, who is that? We have been around since about 2009. We have around 400 members at this time. It's been as much as 450, but not larger than that. Let's see. One of the recent successes was a very small, we don't have any kind of grant, we're a co-op. And so that's kind of a unique and sometimes problematic structure, just because of the, doesn't really fit the nonprofit kind of benefits. So it's a little bit of a pain point that, but I think what I want to bring more is for us, we've had wildfires and floods and pandemic in our area. So there have been certain categories of businesses where we've extended their memberships for a while, and just kind of seeing how different networks are approaching that, where there's some businesses that are paying. And so just, I don't think I have a problem with fairness, but just kind of managing those industries and those sectors that are struggling more, whereas others are able to, you know, contribute. A success was a small local business recovery fund that I created last year. Completely raised the funds myself, and it acted as matching funds for a couple dozen businesses for their fourth quarter holiday marketing and advertising. And that was really nice because we just kind of created out of nothing and really made some good things happen.
Congratulations on that.
Thanks.
Absolutely. Do you want to call on somebody else for introduction?
Yes. How about Kevin T?
Hello, I'm Kevin and I am in Boston. I am one of the interns of the 15, I believe, that Theo said. And I am currently working under Amoeba, but I am not sure what I'm currently doing so far, so I'm unable to talk about that. And I don't know what topic that I wanted to bring so far, so I would pass it to Rebecca.
Well, I'm going to take it and let me see, pass it to somebody who hasn't been on because I've already introduced myself. How about Mariah?
Hi, sorry to be late from another call. We're just introducing ourselves and things we're working on right now. Is that what we're doing?
kind of one pain point and one recent success has kind of gotten us. So
Okay. Well, I'm Mariah McKay from Spokane, Washington, in Eastern Washington State in the northwestern part of the country. Not Seattle. Don't tell me that. I'll bite your head off. We're in a very different environment of our own and by Northern Idaho. And Spokane Independent Metro Business Alliance, SIMBA for short. And we are looking to probably hire a new part-time person this year because we worked our butts off last year and raised funds and won grants, and we're kind of moving on to the next level of organizational structure and establishment. We did a big, huge buy local campaign funded by the CARES Act, which built a coalition of business serving groups in our area. And that was very successful. We have 600 businesses involved, and we've been getting lots of success stories of increased traffic and whatnot. So that's been a success. And I'd say a pain point is some of the divisions of the political landscape are unignorable in our local business community. I was in Featherville, Idaho, and a business was just bedecked in Trump paraphernalia and all this kind of stuff. And everyone can have their free speech, but there's racial implications to that kind of ideology and worldview, and sometimes in some cases misinformation. And it makes people in our community feel unsafe and unable to shop in those places. There's people who don't go to Idaho because of those reasons for safety. And so we're working on a partnership with the NAACP in Spokane to work on a joint Business Against Bigotry initiative. And I don't know if the Utah people are on, but we heard that they were working on a curriculum, an anti-racist curriculum for business owners. And so we're really interested to adopt tools and resources like that from across the network and bring them home to Spokane where they're needed.
Utah is not on the call today, but I can definitely connect you to Kristen.
Thanks.
Who can help you out there. Well, let's hear from, I think we have a couple more interns to hear from anyway. Eamon?
Yeah, thanks.
I might not be pronouncing that correctly. I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, no worries. My name is Eamon. I'm an intern with CLF and probably going to be working with Amoeba a little bit. And I'm working on a couple different things, but currently thinking about kind of financial policies and kind of codifying ways for local business groups to do work on that front regarding financial policies and stuff like that. So yeah, thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thanks for coming. I think Messiah, I don't think we've heard from yet. If you're there anyway. And I might be saying that incorrectly. Messiah.
And you're muted. There we go.
There you go.
My name is Messiah. I'm one of Theo's interns over at CLF. I'm currently on the project SBN, and I'm a part of the managing the social media team. So I just update the social medias, let them know, put our name out there really. And the project I'm working on right now is I'm putting together a spreadsheet for a spreadsheet for Black History Month events. So anything that revolves around Black History Month events, if it's in Boston, Somerville, Cambridge, I'm putting together a spreadsheet for that so that can go in our weekly newsletter. I'm also a part of another project I'm working on is putting together a list of Black-owned restaurants so we can really put their name out there and endorse them. And then after I finish that, I'll be making a post on one of our social media platforms, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, and just really putting our name out there furthermore. And I'll pass it to Marvin.
Hi everyone, pardon my camera for being off. My name is Marvin and I'm a senior intern working with Cambridge Local First and Cambridge and Somerville Black Business Network. We have currently 15 interns, including myself. And just like Messiah, one of the projects that I'm working on is creating a spreadsheet for Black-owned restaurants in the greater Boston area, Somerville or Cambridge, so we can get their name out there, so we can promote their business. And we're also continuing the spreadsheet of Black History Month events, so people could know the events that's going on if they want to participate or take part of it. And that's basically it.
Awesome. Well, thanks, you guys. And thanks, interns, for being on the call. Y'all are welcome certainly to chime in, and we may have questions for you as well. I see in the chat we are chatting about, yes, our various online marketplaces. And definitely we'll dive deeper into that next conversation, but I will just also share that we have also, we have launched a local marketplace as well, and have had some success with that, but are also still looking, I still want to look at some other alternatives before I spend a lot more money. Programmers cost a lot of money per hour. So, I've got some things to add to that list as well. I'm wondering if before the next call, maybe we just share a Google Doc between us and just say, here is the explorations we've done. And you know, not everything is, you know, it's great that there's so many, but I feel like right now it's kind of a wild west out there, you know, and it'll probably settle down, I would think, in the next year or two into, you know, some top choices that fit for, you know, different types of, you know, IBAs that are looking to start it. I do think Jax is great, especially for, you know, if you don't have a lot of staff time, et cetera, money for custom programming, you just want a turnkey option. And then for us, we went a different route, not necessarily a better route, but it's anyway, but like I said, I'm still doing some further research into it before I sink some more money in to see if this is the path we want to continue on. So I'm going to make a note to do that too, Rebecca, and we can get that out maybe to the attendees on this call, the Google Sheet. I'm happy to start it, and then maybe all of us can add to it. I did check out Theo's Localicity as well, and we also had a local contender too that was very similar to Localicity, but they haven't really moved forward, and ultimately I wanted it to be my site. I didn't want it to be somebody else's, but maybe that might not be so wise. I don't know. So it's all still shaking out. Any other comments on the marketplace before we kind of move on to some different topics, knowing that we'll get into it deeper next time too, but
that's probably the idea. I'll set that up because there's so many options out there. They're all sort of new. I don't know if there's anything that's truly tested, and as you said, some of them are designed to be on your website, some of them are designed to be on their website with your members and your information. Almost too many choices, but
yeah, and almost all expensive. Yeah. Not too many, they're just super cheap, like, yeah, let's give this a shot. But
but I also think that this is such a great group to have these conversations because everybody's looking in different directions a little bit. So by bringing it all together, we can at least have sort of a basis of information there for everyone. So we'll get that started right away.
Well, Colin, I can also contribute to your virtual networking kind of question or things you wanted to get started. I will say that I've loved Hopin, and I think it's been great. If you're not familiar with it, like it's set up to work like a conference, and that's actually what we use for our summit, and we used all the aspects of it. But for us, we do these very simple events. We call them networking around towns, and we just use the networking portion of Hopin for that. And it's 4 minutes. The people automatically rotate. You don't have to do much. It's very easy to set up. And what we did was we partnered with different organizations. So it's not always the same people in our organizations, you know, talking to each other, and they're kind of getting business, you know, from all over the city as well, because we run them twice a month now. And the other organizations are always willing to do it. We've got some standard text we send out. Happy to share that with anybody. people have found it very easy to use, and even people who hate networking have really enjoyed it. They say, I've always wanted to network, but I never did. But I think that we did talk about this, I think, in a previous call too, because I know you do have to create a Hopin account to join the event. But the nice thing about it is you don't have to figure out, like, how do I introduce myself to that person? You just get automatically paired up with them, and you can talk to anybody for 4 minutes, you know, like, stretch it out. Anyway, but that's my 2 cents on the virtual networking. And right now, I think Hopin had a special of $500, and it gets you a whole year. And we have found it very easy. We started out asking just $75 to sponsor it, something super easy to say yes to, but we've had problems with people saying, well, I want to sponsor all of them. So we need to raise our price and limit that too. I don't want them to be sponsored by all the same person. I want to hear from a lot of different members. So that's been fun. I'm trying to think if I had any other comments on some of the other subjects that I heard, and I don't have any right at the second. So I don't know. Like I said, this is meant to mimic kind of this kind of happy hour discussion. Like, who knows what rabbit path we're going to go down to with. What do you guys have some other comments on some things you heard from some of your counterparts?
I'd love to go around and talk about membership, because it's come up, and I know lots of organizations have maybe even suspended membership for members during the pandemic. And then that's great, and it's great support for those members. But at some point, you have to turn that back on. And I know that I've heard a little bit about success. How are you all doing with members renewing? And what's your plan for if you turned off renewals during the pandemic, turning that back on? Anybody have any? Kathleen, you're shaking your head yes. So
yeah, I can hop in. I was going to mention something about the networking, and so I can do that and then jump into your question too. But I know for us, we had launched, and this was pre-pandemic, so our intention was always for them to be in person, but a coffee hour series in the morning, and as opposed to transitioning our like happy hour timeframe networking into the virtual space, we decided to move that time into the virtual space. We're just using Zoom, but we walk everybody through kind of the same event in that way. In person, it would be much more casual, just an opportunity to get to know some folks. But during the pandemic, we've used that as a time to do like a 10-minute presentation on things that our organization has going on that our members can participate in. We walk through several questions, break people up into groups, and then we can come back and discuss as a group. So it gives people an opportunity with smaller packets of people to discuss something. And then if anything stood out, then our larger group can discuss. We've liked that format. Sometimes we have 6 people come, sometimes we have 25 people come. So it can be very different depending on who's showing up in what month, but I wanted to offer that. We just use Zoom for pretty much everything, and it serves that purpose. So we've liked that, but we haven't looked into anything specific like Hopin, so I'm excited to check that out. And then for renewals or membership, for our organization, we had launched a pay what you can model. So we wrestled back and forth too with, do we turn dues off? How do we, meet our members where they are? Because it's a challenging time. And we typically have just a few months where we run like a renewal campaign. So we're actively reaching out. That's the time usually someone will send a check or a one-time payment or establish their monthly payments with us. And so we offered a pay what you can model and planned for like a 30% attrition rate during that season, just given the climate of things going on. And we found that the pay what you can was pretty successful. People liked having that option. And we were pleased to see that some people were able to continue their standard dues. That of course helps us a lot as an organization. But that option wound up being a great one and a temporary kind of placeholder so that we could continue a typical season, but allow it to be equitable across industry and for it to be honorary if people had that need. So that's what that looked like for us, at least this year. We were pretty pleased with that. Of course, we didn't see everyone through that process, and we did lose some people through this year, unfortunately, whether they closed their doors because of the pandemic or they just couldn't afford the expense.
Sure. Do you have a end time for that pay as you can? Is it something you're going to continue for a longer time, or have you decided on when it would?
Yeah, it's still active on our payment portal right now, so people who are newly joining us can use it. But at some point this year, we haven't established an end date when we'll take that down, just because we're still seeing with this second wave a lot of hardship for many of our businesses. So right now we're leaving it there for people who are kind of petering in with their renewal at that last minute, and for people who might join us here in the next few months. So yeah, not sure what that final date will be.
But it sounds like a great idea, and it's been a huge success, and people probably really appreciate it. So,
I think
awesome.
Janine wanted to know what your how much your dues are.
Yeah, I can share our webpage with you so you can just check it out.
Perfect.
We do our dues are based on how many employees an organization has. So pretty accessible to start with, and then offering, of course, that optional pay what you can. But I'll just put it in the chat, the link.
Great.
And I'll chime in. In Louisville, we when the pandemic first hit, I think just a couple weeks after, we decided to offer kind of scholarships in a way. I do like the idea of pay as you can, but for us, since ours is on a rolling basis, like we don't have a one membership season, it would have been really hard to keep track of for us. And we didn't really publicize it per se, but in our renewal efforts, just our notices went out as usual. We were surprised at how many people still pay. Just don't blink an eye and go ahead and pay. For anybody that we needed to follow up with, we always offered that. Like we are extending, if you need this, we're happy to grace your membership, during the pandemic. And but we do have to hear back from the people. We're not just going to automatically grace you if you're not going to tell us, like, yes, I'd like to take advantage of that, or whatever. So, and that has been successful, but I want to say we only have maybe 20 or so folks on that program, and we have offered, if I talk to people about becoming a member, I will let them know that we'll grace them as well, and they can become part of the organization at no charge. We just have a flat membership fee of $125 or $11 a month, and but we also offer partner member levels, and we're obviously not gracing any partner members, but for the regular basic membership, we will do that. And we haven't set an end date yet, just because, who knows what's coming with the pandemic. It's just so hard to, like what's gonna be like next week, so much less next month or 6 months from now. So for now, our dues have been doing okay, and we're not in a financial hardship right now, so we haven't had to try to figure that out. But so for the foreseeable future, anyway, for us.
Anybody else want to chime in on what you're doing? Or if you're not doing anything like this, then how are renewals going during the pandemic? Are they going okay? Are they sort of business as usual? Are you losing people? Are you gaining people?
I can comment as far as what's taking place here in Madison. I do recognize that what's happening here is probably a little unusual because we do have that grant program going. So our membership has definitely increased. I just pulled together a report for my board, and between the end of last year into just last Tuesday, we picked up 33 new members. But I know that a lot of that is related to the grant program, and people think that if they join Dane by Local, it improves their chances of getting a grant, which it does not. You do not have to be a member of Dane by Local to get a grant. So there's that. And we're very similar to Jennifer as far as if we run into somebody that's not going to be able to pay for whatever reason, we're just comping them membership for the next year. We've had a couple of long-term members that just called me and they're like, we just can't afford it. One of them is a sporting goods store that was looted 3 nights in a row during the unrest, and then they had an employee steal from them after the unrest took place. It's just been one thing after another with them. They've been in business for 38 years. They've been a member from the beginning of Dane by Local, And she's just like, we can't afford it. There's no way. Well, I'm not going to turn them away. We just gave them a complimentary membership, and thank you for all. Yep, they've been great about supporting us in the past. This is a chance for us to do it in return. The only other idea I would have that has been pretty successful for us is we're taking gift certificates in lieu of cash, and then we turn around and auction those off on an online auction that we do through 32 Auction. So particularly that works well with restaurants and retail. If it's a massage therapist or a chiropractor, the gift certificates don't work as well. But again, I'm taking them at this point just because I know people are in a tough place. So that'd be the only other suggestion that I would have.
It's a great idea.
That's great. So at CLF, we actually had, I think, 61 new members in 2020. Now, caveat that, we opened a community membership in the summer. So about half of those are community members. But we have a community membership level at $500, which is more than any of our business levels. So we actually had someone join at that level. So the community membership can be a significant member or revenue stream for us. But yeah, I'm looking at our stats now. I think we had 61 new members, and we had just about all of our 2019 members renew in 2020. What we did was we just opened it up to everybody. So basically any business that wanted to benefit from any of the services that we're doing, we haven't turned a single business away since March. Obviously that meant that we were working a lot more, but we have offered support to any business. We also have initially a weekly, now it's a bi-weekly community conversation series. It's televised and posted to our local television channel. And it's a great way for folks to get lots of resources because we also have city representatives on the call and other business associations. So it's just a good community conversation. Anyone's invited. Of the members, we had 12 members that didn't renew last year, 2 closed permanently, and then 10 just couldn't afford it. So we just said, sure, don't worry about it. We're not going to make, one of them just reached out a few days ago, like she's doing 4 times the amount of work that she had been doing in previous years because they had to cut their staff by 3/4. So obviously I'm not going to say, and you have to pay your dues. So yeah, we've tried to forgive dues at every juncture when asked. And we've had others join that it's actually been okay. And in terms of how much our membership is, so it's $50 for nonprofits, which we should probably reevaluate because some of our nonprofits are actually very large and much larger than some of our businesses. But it's $50, and then it's $150 if you're a business with 1 to 5 employees, and then it goes up to $375 if you have 15 plus employees. Oh, sorry, 30 plus employees. So most of our businesses at the 1 to 5 or like 6 to 15 level, but we have a few at the 30 plus as well.
Well, I have a quick question, but I wanted to see if anybody else had thoughts to share on
I can
membership.
share.
Yes.
Yeah. As I kind of shared earlier, we haven't set up a pay-as-you-can thing, and we've continued membership. Of course, in the first 6 months of COVID, we just didn't ask for any renewals. We did send out our monthly because we're on it's not all at once. We did send out renewal invoices and we got a lot. So basically we were able to maintain probably about 80% of our 80 to 90% of our membership. And as I said, it's in those key categories of the ones that have been hit the worst, where we were just extending it. And we've always done the gift card thing here and there, of course, still needing to pay our bills. But I like the idea of the community membership, and I've kind of thrown that around. Go Local started with business memberships and individual memberships, but they were small. They were like $25, and it was just too small, too much to manage. But I know that there are those community members at the larger level that may support it. So that's a really nice idea that I'm going to think about. And our membership ranges from 200 for nonprofits and solopreneurs, of 5 tiers based on their sales in Sonoma County, our range, up to 2,500. with the caveat that 1/3 of their membership can be used for any of our media. So it can kind of go directly to advertising. And that has been a real plus once we added that into our membership benefits, because then we can put it right to work. Some of it, say for like Facebook, Instagram ads, that kind of thing, because they just tend to get a sense of results, ROI, with that little bit of advertising push, which, you could build into membership, but when they actually see it as dollars, that's kind of a nice incentive.
Cool. I think that is neat.
I think that's a great idea. And that perceived benefit factor really plays into that it's like you're not spending their money, you're spending your money for them.
Yeah.
Right. And many of them don't use it because they just support by being a member. But the ones who, and that's where we all have that balance of the kind of the social cause members and the marketing return members. And so it's kind of a nice way to give that option for those and to entice new membership for the ones who really want some marketing results for their membership.
Nice.
Love that.
I'm bringing that one home too. I'm curious. I know we've got about 17 minutes left here. I'm going to throw out a question that kind of has nothing to do necessarily, but again, we're at the bar just having our drinks and chatting. But it occurs to me, we are a 501c6, and so we just qualified for PPP. And I'm curious if anybody else is applying for PPP. Yes, I see nods. I suppose.
We didn't qualify because we didn't have any staff last year. And you have to have people on payroll in order to qualify. So that's unfortunate.
Are you subcontractors?
I was a contractor until this month for the last 3 years.
You qualify for PPP.
As an independent contractor, but not as an organization.
Sure you do. You qualify for, we just got it for Amoeba. Amoeba is a subcontractor. We just got $18,000 yesterday.
Oh, really?
Who's your bank you're working with? Is it somebody local?
Numerica. And I mean, an SBA officer told me directly that because we didn't have anyone on payroll, we wouldn't have the criteria to be subsidized for payroll this year.
I know of a number of businesses in your situation that have gotten it.
I'm curious if it might have changed too, because I mean, PPP as it was, 8 months ago is a lot different than the PPP of today. And that's a good question, Colin, because you know what? I'm not including my contractor. We have, 3 part-timers and a contractor, and I did not include my contractor, but I might ask about that. I haven't turned in my application yet. I just filled it out. I'm about to turn it in. But I was like, oh, 16,000 that I wasn't counting on in my budget. That'd be cool.
Yeah. I'm not to blend the two. That'd be a good question to ask. I don't know about but yeah, we got $22,000 for staff, paid staff. I did not ask for my contractors, but we just got yesterday, we got approved through Amoeba, and Darren is a subcontractor.
Mariah, definitely worth, maybe y'all can connect and see. I don't know.
That's a completely conflicting message from what I've been told. And I spent hours and hours and hours of my time trying to get to the bottom of that question.
Yeah.
The only thing
I would have assumed exactly what your answer was, because that's what I had heard as well.
The other thing that's a problem is we haven't registered federally as a C6. So we have to get that paperwork done as well.
That is a problem.
Yeah.
That is definitely, that's going to be a stumbling block. If you can get that cleaned up before the end of March, that's the deadline for applying. But what I would suggest is definitely be using a community bank in your community. Don't use a national bank.
We wouldn't.
They're going to do you any good. Yeah.
We figured you wouldn't.
I wouldn't recommend our model, but we have Go Local, the co-op just manages the membership. And then we have like basically a management agreement with an LLC, Sustaining Technologies, and that's the media company. So we kind of have the membership organization, and we have a media company that's an LLC that does the HR, so that our media company, and I manage both of them. It's a pain, but partly it's because of co-ops and the bylaws and that just being having some real limitations to it. So we ended up like where we take the risk and we do, we were a publisher on the media company side. And so we were able to get PPP through that side. But wish it was simpler because we have to manage 2 companies and 2, tax years and insurance and that kind of thing, which is not efficient.
But interesting.
Yeah,
And I was curious
we
about
weren't
that.
eligible. Yeah, we were curious too. I, like Mariah, thought we were not eligible, so we did not apply. We're also subcontractors, and we're having C6 related issues that we're working through. So I'll look into it.
Well, I really think
Thank you.
the first go round, y'all are right that if you were independent contractors, you couldn't count that. But I really think I'm 99% sure that's changed on this second go round, is that it does include independent contractors. So get that C6 stuff cleaned up and apply.
Cool. Well, I hope it works out for everybody because I was pleased. I mean, I wasn't counting on that. They didn't say C6s were even eligible until what, January? It was like at the end of December when it finally like really truly passed. But anyway, that was.
And also, just one other question. This is a forgivable loan, right? As long as staff is maintained at a particular percentage. Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
And you have
Yes.
to show a 25% loss, which pretty much we can all show.
Oh, you have to have shown a 25% loss.
Yeah.
So Jennifer, did you apply through round 1? Is that how so here's another trick.
Because our C3 was not, it had only just been established right before round 1.
Right. So here's another trick that I learned.
Yay. Tell me.
So you should apply today for round 1. They open round 1 back up and get that approved. You can do that in a few days. If you can spend those dollars before the end of March, you can apply for round 2 and get another check.
Ooh.
Yeah. So we because we're in the same boat you were. We're a C6.
Okay.
And didn't qualify for the first one, but now they changed the rules and they made it retroactive to round 1. So they opened round 1 up again because there's money still left there. And that's where our funds came from. And then we're trying to burn through that cash so that we can apply for another round and get another $22,000 for us.
Dang.
Awesome.
Interesting. Okay. I'm calling my banker after this. He'll be so glad to hear from me. He better be though, dang it. It is a local bank, so. Okay. Hadn't thought about that.
I would throw out,
Interesting.
if you don't have luck with your local banker, definitely use community banks. But if for whatever reason you can't get through that, go look at Cabbage, and it's Kabbage. They've done a ton of loans for small businesses, and it's super easy and super quick.
Interesting. Well, hopefully this conversation today will result in thousands of extra dollars for some of us at least. Okay. Well, let's see some other topics. We've got about 10 minutes left here, and I'm happy to chat about my member summit, but I'm not particularly attached to it. Does anybody else have something they want to come back to, like one of their pain points or one of their successes?
This is entirely separate from what we had been discussing or even what we shared before, but one of the things that we are hoping to do in April, what we're going to be doing in April, is bringing a conversation with I always forget the title, it's Dave Rappaport, who works with Ben and Jerry, but he's like the social something manager, I'm forgetting now, but he's going to come host a conversation virtually with our region, and we wanted to extend an offer out to all of you as folks who have partnered with us over the years. So I'll follow up just via email. We'll have like a discount code for you guys, and just wanted to invite, we're going to have a conversation around local and the importance of that and how they've sourced, as well as our other program areas more specific to benefit corporation work. And so their work there as well. So wanted to share that with you all before we do jump off the call.
Oh,
we could do a joint event. We've got a local company, nonprofit that just started about B Corp certification, but B Corp light, I guess, like on the path to B Corp. Would that be for our members as well as for us, are you saying? Or just like just for the leaders?
We wanted to extend it to you all as partners. So we'll extend it to you. I mean, if your network wants to join, certainly share the details, but the discount code that we're going to share is particular for all of you.
Oh, sure. Yeah, totally.
So, but that's really exciting. I know on our other program arm is called Good for Michigan, and we partner with B Lab, but the work that we're doing with them is for people who are, we're B local for our region. So we do work with our B Corps here, but also work with people who are just getting started. And so we offer the sustainable, the UN's SDG goals as an assessment model for folks to go through and just get a baseline. So we hear you, we have kind of like, yeah, the B Corp light, and also we work with our B Corps here, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah. Nice. Well, thanks.
Wonderful.
And I know a few of us are on this planning call with ILSR for the anti-reigning and monopoly power. So we'll talk about that on Thursday. So, but I did talk to Mary about like sharing the registrations, because I'm like, who is registering from my area? So hopefully we'll find out about that as well. I do think there's nice potential for some of our cross-pollination with events. So. Awesome. Well, are there burning questions? Anybody that wants to talk about something, or anybody that really wants to hear about my member summit? Or
I'd love if our interns have a question.
Yes.
I'm also hoping that this is a great learning opportunity for them, because this is the first time they're getting to meet IBA leaders from around the country. So to any of our interns, do you guys have a question to ask these fabulous IBA leaders? If not, that's okay too.
No pressure.
The stakes are high. Okay.
I did have a quick clarification question. I was just wondering if, Janine, if you could talk a little bit more about the program that you were describing of some of the dues going towards advertising, because that sounded really interesting, but I just wasn't really following, I don't think.
Sure. It happens to be that one of our, basically I co-directed Go Local for 8 years with someone who, Terry Garrett, who had a couple decades experience in the media industry. He was a publisher and such. So he really brought some kind of media background to Go Local. And as the organization evolved early on, we kind of found that was something that was very, that marketing and advertising was something very tangible, like I said, for businesses to kind of latch onto. So we've kind of found we don't have real strong relationships government-wise, like Colin does. And that hasn't really kind of flourished, but we found that this is kind of a niche that's worked well for our organization. And so what we do is, and you can, I'd be happy to share information about this, but basically we have membership benefits, but then we have 4 pages of basically media offers, which includes marketing consulting. So it includes marketing, which might be a photographer. So where we kind of, if we have it on our offerings, then we make a small commission by kind of them signing up through us, and we do the payment and everything. And this local photographer or this local graphic designer or videographer, or like a Google My Business kind of consultant, that kind of thing. So there's all these different options that we've added in, especially during COVID, especially to help businesses with their digital presence. So we've kind of added that in to sort of make it easy for them to sign up for that kind of thing. Many of these services larger businesses don't need. Then we also offer advertising. So we actually, one of my team members spends most of his time on Facebook and Instagram ad management, and it's a pain in the rear, but it's the way we've been able to kind of support our members, either by, not organic, but like a little bit of paid dollars, which makes it actually worthwhile, and we send them the results. And so that sometimes works well as this little member benefit. But then there's other businesses who pay us monthly for larger ad campaigns. At radio, we do a deal with the radio stations. We have an outdoor digital board on one in our county. And so I sell it and businesses pay for it, and it's much smaller cost than if they were to do it themselves directly. And we publish 3 print publications. So we have kind of slowly over the years built all of this, kind of a wide ranging media services. So for our organization, it helps if you, I would say start with any niche that you're strong in and then kind of build on it, because it's definitely like 2/3 of our income compared to membership. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question.
And I'd like to add to that, when I was the director at the Austin Independent Business Alliance, we did co-op media buys all the time. And so we would go in and negotiate if it was for print, for a page, or time on television or radio or whatever, then divide that out and sell it to our members. Pretty much at cost, a little bit of money for the organization. And one of my fears one day was, are we doing too much? I don't want our members to feel like every time we call, it's, do you want to buy this? Do you want to buy this? Do you want to buy this? So I love your idea of the part of the membership going to that. But at a big luncheon we had one day, I was asking people and they're like, oh, no. We want more co-op media buys and not less. So please keep them up, keep calling us. And it was hugely popular, especially for a small business, that it's very expensive to jump into television or in some cases radio. And they could stick their toe in the water by doing the co-op media buy. I found our price point was about $500. And if I could get it less than that, great. But if I went over $500, the participation went way down. But it allowed them, and if they got some response, then it was a good test for them to spend more money with that particular media. So yeah, marketing's good.
Cool.
Of course, I'm a publisher,
Yes.
so of course I'm going to say that.
Yeah. I'm sure Colin would feel the same. Well, we're here. We've got a couple more minutes left. I wanted to just kind of do some wrapping up here, but and Rebecca has been so kind to take some notes here, and we are going to kind of share a broad summary. We're not going to mention, folks by name, so we're going to keep it general, but just like so that people can kind of get an idea of some ideas shared, that sort of thing amongst us today. Let's see. Like I said, we'll share contact information with each other. I hope y'all got some value today. I know I did for sure. And our next one is coming up. I'm going to put this in the chat on March 11th. And it's, again, the nuts and bolts session focusing on those online marketplaces, which we're going to do some collaborating in advance here of just collecting information and conversations that we've all had. There's no sense in all of us calling every single one of them. So I think that would be great. But I want to see, does anybody have any closing thoughts or any burning something we just need to get?
I'll say I got to listen to the audiobook Goliath recently about the concentrating ownership of monopoly powers throughout history and how grassroots movements and government banded together and created coalitions to break up those trusts. And it was just a fascinating history, and it builds a lot of motivation to participate in the Amazon accountability work and other federal lobbying that ILSR is leading us in. So that was really, I just saw that we are part of history and we have a great tradition to feel empowered around.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Excellent recommendation. And empowering.
Yeah, thank you. That was great.
A good tip to share.
Mm-hmm.
I now have 4 pages of notes from today. So.
I can imagine.
It was nice to see you guys. It was nice to see everyone.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you all for coming together, and hope to see you at the next one where we'll all talk about what we do and don't know about online marketplaces. But it's good that we're figuring it out together for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great to see you. Right. Thank y'all for being here.
Yes, thanks y'all. Bye. Thank you.